the span of time covered by the prayers is our entire day. Throughout the day, we remember God in our prayer. It is a form of dhikr, to pray and remember the name of God. So prayer is an integral part of our practice. It's an integral part of drawing us closer to God, because it is one way in which we can remember God throughout the day. As a new Muslim, I noticed this right away. I began the day with God, and I remembered God during the day. I had to remind myself, okay, prayer time is coming up. I need to structure my schedule so I can pray. So throughout the day, I am thinking of God and taking time out to worship Him in this form of dhikr. So prayer is a critical part of our practice, one that we do every day. The second branch of our faith is fasting in Ramadan. Now, if we can think of prayer as a daily reminder of God, we can think of fasting in Ramadan as a yearly reminder of God. An annual reminder, an annual jogging of the memory as to who we are and who He is. And it's this month-long celebration of the coming of our supreme and lasting guide, the Quran, and with it the Ahlul Bayt, that we can enjoy this month. It's a month of where we sacrifice during the day eating and drinking and intimate behavior, so that we can, for the whole month, in a concentrated form, remember God and what He has done for us in giving us the Quran. One of the first things that I observed in my first Ramadan was how excited everybody was when it came to fast breaking. And I was kind of puzzled by that. I said to a friend, it almost seems like everybody's more excited about breaking their fast than they are about fasting. And his comment was, well, you can continue fasting if you want to. But what was at work in my mind was, it's the fasting that is leading us to God, not the fast breaking. Although the fast breaking is important because it shows us that not all of life is fasting. Part of life is also feasting. And so we have both together in the holy month of Ramadan. We have both the fasting, the denying, and we have the celebration and the feasting, which is really kind of a picture of all of life that God has given to us. We don't feast all the time every day, and we don't fast all the time every day. Life consists of both, and God is telling us that life consists of both. Life consists of abstaining at some times, and it consists of celebrating at other times. And there needs to be a balance between the two. And when that balance is struck, then we are performing dhikr and remembering our God. The third branch of the religion is one that takes place in a lifetime. So we have Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. If we are capable of doing so, we have the financial resources and the health to do so, we're supposed to go to Mecca at least once in our life and perform the pilgrimage. This is a lifetime, a concentrated lifetime reminder of our God and who He is and how He has acted in history. This is also a very important, very symbolic form of dhikr that we can perform in order to remember God. Now, the amazing thing is that if we cannot participate in Hajj due to health or due to our financial situation, the Prophet has said, peace be upon him and his family, our Prophet has said that the Friday prayers are the poor man's Hajj. So, if we find ourselves in a situation where we cannot perform the Hajj, we can perform a substitute, and the Friday prayers will work together to form this part of our practice. That is one of the wonderful things about Islam, is the flexibility, the taking into account that we are human beings, and we can't always do what is outlined for us as number one, but there's always something else we can do in its place in order to remember our God. The fourth and the fifth items are the paying of zakat and khums, the paying of charity. And we have really two forms of charity here. We have kind of a mandatory charity in the zakat and the khums, and we have also voluntary charity. Throughout the Quran, I've noticed that we are to take care of orphans. We are to look out for those who are worse off than we are, to help them if we can, and not charge them interest on what they are, what we loan them, and to not even ask for it back. And if they can repay us, to trust that they will repay us. These two forms of charity, when we practice them, show that God gives us blessing, and in return we become a blessing to those around us who may be less fortunate than we are. The mandatory charity going for good deeds, the voluntary charity going for specific good deeds that we are maybe involved with or know about, together they form an important part of our life as Muslims, that it is not all coming into us. It doesn't all revolve around us. We are simply part of that which revolves around God. And if we can help those who are with us on this path to spiritual perfection, the path to paradise, if we can help those who are less fortunate, we not only do them a favor, and give them a blessing, we also end up blessing ourselves, knowing that we have enabled someone else to continue, to maybe get out of a hardship. So the giving of charity is a very, very important part of our remembrance of God, the practice of our faith. All of these branches of religion are part of a concerted effort to crystallize in our daily practice, our monthly practice, our lifetime practice, the remembrance of Allah. The sixth point is perhaps the most controversial one, and it is the one practice that we are most likely going to get asked about over all others, and that is jihad. As you most likely know, jihad is simply the word for, that's translated into English anyway, as struggle. Jihad is a struggle. There is the greater jihad, and there is the lesser jihad. And you're most likely familiar with the story of when the army came back from battle, and it was a victory, and the soldiers were saying, we've done such a great thing, we've had a wonderful victory, our God has blessed us. And our prophet said to them, you have done the lesser jihad. The greater jihad awaits you. And they said, what? What are you talking about? We just won this great battle. What other battle do we have to fight? And it's the battle within us. It is the internal struggle of the faith that the prophet was talking about. That is the real jihad, the greater jihad, the jihad that we encounter every day, day in, day out, throughout our entire lives. That is the jihad that is most important. There's a saying associated with the prophet that we are to die before we die. The greater jihad, this greater struggle, is precisely that. What is the prophet talking about when he says, die before you die? In another saying associated with him, the prophet has said, this life, this world, is a dream from which we will wake up to the reality. So therefore, we are to die before we die. We are to wake up to the reality before death comes, before the reality truly comes. The prophet has encouraged us to die before we die, to search out what is the reality. This is the greater jihad, the greater struggle, the struggle to master ourselves so that we are free for God. And that is a tough battle to do, because this world, even though it's a dream, this world is very real to us. This world is like this apple. It's solid. It's like this desk. It's real. It's tangible. But the true reality is not so easily perceived by us unless we have become open to it. To do that, we have to die to this world. We have to wake up from this world. We have to conquer ourselves and everything in us that values this world above everything else. Because this world is passing away. This world is going away. And what is eternal will remain. And we need to be in harmony with that which is eternal. We need to be in harmony with God. The seventh and the eighth branches of religion work hand in hand with each other. They are encouraging to do good and discouraging from doing evil. This is our responsibility to our fellows. We have been given a guide. We've been given a path that shows us the truth. The path that shows us how we are to conduct our lives. We've been given this because this is the best that is for us. This is the pathway that will benefit us the most. So as we are walking on this pathway, we are to be encouraging to those around us that they too will come with us and not slip off the path. We're to encourage all those around us to do good and to keep doing good. But there's also a dimension of this for those who aren't believers. We are to have an impact on the greater society in which we live, so that the greater society also is ultimately providing a good environment for us as Muslims to thrive in. And so the encouraging of good has not only a personal dimension in dealing with each other and people on an individual basis, but it also has a dimension of social perspective in which we are to help the greater society move in the direction of good and not move in the direction of evil. And so we also discourage people from doing evil things. We try to guide our co-workers and our fellow students away from lying or cheating. We try to help our fellow Muslims not get entangled into the temptations of the world. So we want to be a force for good and not a force for evil. The final 2 points concern the Ahlul Bayt. We as Shias love the family of the Prophet. They are God's gifts to us. They are the ones who guide us along with the Quran. Their wisdom is impeccable. And so we are to love them, to cherish them, to value them. The flip side of the coin is that for those who disparage them, we are to avoid them. We are to turn away from them. This goes hand in hand with encouraging good and discouraging evil, because the Prophet and his family were here to do good. And our living Imam is waiting to return to do good. And so our role is to love them, to champion them, to honor them, and to stay away from those who dishonor them and disparage them. I hope this brief summary of the practices of our faith has been helpful. If we think of them as simply a form of dhikr, a form of remembering our God, it will be easy for us to practice these things and enrich our lives. So I ask you to consider them, to mull them over, think about them, and may God bless you and your families. Salam alaikum.
مژده یاران گل در آمد، مژده یاران